In this video, I'll show you how I built this 3D printed guitar and give a brief demo of how it sounds. Please note that all project details, including links to download the STLs and parts list, can be found in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started. First, I created a CAD model of the main shape of the guitar body and then added features for the neck, cavities for the pickups and electronics, and features for the output jack and strap posts. To print the body of the guitar, I split the model into 7 main sections so it could be printed on a vast majority of home 3D printers. In my case, I'm printing on a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon, which has a build area of 256 by 256 millimeters. I used Bamboo Studio to slice the models. To strengthen the center core of the guitar, I increased the infill percentage to 40% and increased the number of wall perimeters to 6 to ensure that it won't flex due to the tension of the guitar strings. Since the outer pieces don't see any significant load, I printed them using 25% infill and 2 perimeters. All of the main body components were printed in silver Bamboo Lab PLA basic filament. For the pickup cover, jack cover, and control knob, I used blue as an accent color and printed all of these parts with 100% infill. For supports, I used organic tree supports for any overhangs, as they tend to break away from the parts easier compared to standard supports. To make things easier for you, I've included the 3MF files in the download, which includes all the print settings automatically preloaded. This table summarizes the print time and amount of filament used for each part. If you use the same settings, you can expect to use around 1.8 kilograms of filament and have a total print time of around 36 hours. The guitar body is designed to go together using dowel pins to align the parts during assembly. Please note that I originally missed a few of the dowel holes in my CAD model, so the parts in this video are slightly different than what you will print. I've already gone and corrected this in the model, so when you download the files, this will already be fixed. The dowels are 10 millimeters in diameter and 50 millimeters long, and you can either use wooden or 3D printed parts. I'm using super glue to bond the parts to one another and using wood clamps to tightly squeeze the sections together for 24 hours to let the adhesive fully set. The next step in the build is pouring the resin top, and in this step the guitar really starts to come to life. Resin provides added stiffness to the body, helps to achieve a better weight balance, and overall adds to the aesthetic of the design. Prior to pouring the resin, I recommend using liquid superglue to seal the gaps between the parts to prevent it from seeping between the seams. You also want to make sure your work surface is as level as possible to ensure that the resin's flat when it cures. I'm using a 2-part epoxy made by JB Weld, which is a great option because it's clear and rock solid when it sets. I used the CAD model to calculate the volume of resin needed and determined that this guitar requires about 150 milliliters of epoxy. Therefore, I used about 80 milliliters of part A and 80 milliliters of part B. I'm using iridescent blue black diamond mica powder to give the epoxy a sparkly, colorful look to it. I thoroughly mixed the powder into the part A resin and then added part B. Next comes the satisfying step of pouring the resin into the recesses, and after the pour, I recommend waiting a full 24 hours for the resin to fully set before moving on to the next steps. Here are all the components that you'll need to assemble the guitar. I'm using a Telecaster neck that has a width of 55 millimeters and a height of 24 millimeters that gets bolted to the body with a neck plate and 4 screws. I'm using a Telecaster bridge and a pickup set that I purchased on Amazon. You will also need a piece of 24 gauge wire that will be used to ground the bridge. Due to my lack of soldering skills, I'm once again using an Obsidian wire solderless electronics kit, which comes with a pre-wired control plate as well as an output jack. We will also need strap posts and the associated hardware for all the components, and of course all of the 3D printed parts as well. First, press the 3-way switch knob onto the lever. Next, mount the neck pickup onto the 3D printed cover by installing the screws and springs, and then tightening the screws to position the pickup. Then the output jack gets mounted to its cover using the included nut and washer. Now we're ready to feed the neck pickup wires into the electronics compartment and then fasten it to the body using 4 screws. Next, feed the bridge ground wire as shown and tape it into place. Then feed the bridge pickup wires through the hole to the electronics compartment and fasten the bridge to the body. Lastly, feed the output jack wires and then mount it to the body using 4 screws. Now we're ready to make the wiring connections, which is fairly straightforward as you simply follow the included wiring diagram. The instructions recommend 6 mm of exposed wire for a proper connection, and then you simply press the tab down, insert the wire, and release. Don't forget to connect the bridge ground wire, which can be inserted into any of the spare ground slots. Then simply mount the electronics assembly to the body using 2 screws. To install the strap post, insert the M4 square nuts into the slots, then fasten them into place. The neck can then be bolted on the body using the neck plate and 4 screws. Lastly, it's time to string up the guitar, and then the build is officially complete. Overall, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. For those of you wondering, the final weight of the guitar is a little over 7 pounds. Now it's time to finally plug this thing in and see how it plays. I'm certainly not the best person to demonstrate the guitar's sound quality, but here's a quick demo anyways. As always, if you enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, please make sure to leave those in the comments section below. This design, as well as all of my other designs, are available on my website, the3dprintzone.com, including the STL files to print the body of the guitar, and a parts list for the other components such as the neck and electronics. And for those of you who can't make up your mind which guitar to build, check out my Patreon where you can get unlimited access to a growing library of designs. I would encourage anyone who's looking for a fun project to consider building one yourself and adding your own flair to it. I'm already working on several other 3D printed guitars, so stay tuned for more videos and upcoming designs. Also, leave a comment below if you have any suggestions for future designs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.